Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Full Potential Show. I'm James Rick, and this is your number one non-boring source for personal development. Today on the line, we have Andrew Baird. His title, you're going to like this, is Chief Freedom Officer. He helps CEOs and business owners get free from their businesses. He's also a speaker and a coach. And today's topic, appropriately enough, is how to get more leverage. You hear me talk a lot about this. Get more leverage in your business and ultimately in your life. Now, whether you're a CEO, a business owner, or just somebody who's working within an organization, anybody who's thinking in terms of leverage and systems, you're going to be incredibly valuable and productive. So this applies to everybody watching right now. Andrew is passionate about helping business owners to create massive results in their business. For over 20 years, he's been a student of what makes people successful and happy. However, when he started his first business, he found that he struggled and it almost went under. But we know the story from there is that he's built a very successful business and he's helping others to do the same. Andrew, thank you so much for being on today's Full Potential Show.
Thank you, Rick. So not Rick James. I really appreciate
Rick James, I can be the king of funk or I can be James Rick and Mr. Full Potential. It's up to you, Andrew. Really, we'll take it where you want to take it today.
Yeah. I got a friend who works at Universal, and she thought I was with Rick James, and so we had a big
I think he's no longer with us. I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's Rick James. So let's talk about creating leverage in your life and business, and actually let's take a step back. Let's start from the time that you didn't have leverage and speak a little bit about that. I mean, what is it like? Because I think a lot of people who are watching and listening right now can relate with the chaos that comes from not having a system. So talk a little bit about that and how you sort of discovered, okay, if I'm going to be successful in my life or my business, I need to find a way to create some kind of system, some kind of leverage to free up my time, to free up my resources, and make things happen in a consistent and productive way. Let's go back to that. What was it like when you were starting out and you didn't have any systems and you had no leverage?
Well, I think the big thing is that you get trapped in this overwhelmed place where everything is just coming at you, and you're trying to deal with it all, and you're just totally out of control. And I think most people can relate to that because they're just caught in that daily grind. And I talk to a lot of people today, and I hear them going, how do I get out of this? And the simple answer is one step at a time. It's like anything. You've just got to build on where you're at and go, right, how do I step forward? And yeah, look, I mean, that was a horrible time in my life, because not only did you're failing and you're just like, how do I get out of this? What's the answer? And I went to seminars, I got a mentor, I got a coach, and they helped me to turn that around. And then I just went, hey, I'm a lot more passionate about helping other people to do this than the original business that I was in. So that's how I ended up where I am today.
So the first step is you recognize, okay, I'm in a place I do not want to be. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed out. There's got to be a solution out there. And then the second step is you looked for that solution in the form of seminars and coaches and books. What do you think was the single biggest factor when you were searching for this solution that helped you kind of turn things around and start moving in the right direction?
I think the biggest thing is that you've got to get the right information, but then you've got to use it. Because oftentimes we know what I've got a saying. It's kind of the Kissy principle, which is know it, show it. Like, you've got to know the information, but you've also got to use it. And most of the time, people will go to seminars and stuff like that, and they'll sit there and they'll go, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. But it doesn't matter whether you know it. I mean, I can go to a seminar and know 95% of the information in there, but I'm still sitting there making notes because I'm like, yep, there's a hole there. Yep, we can do more there. Yep, oh, yep, we're missing that over there. And so it's about putting it into action, because that's where the rubber meets the road.
It really does. And so, you can elevate yourself. If you look at it in terms of levels, you can say, okay, I'm coming from a place first of ignorance. I'm not even aware of the right things to do. I'm not aware of the right steps to move out of this situation. But then the next step is, all right, I now know, I have the information, I know the fundamentals, I know what I need to do. But then the next step, and that you're saying that a lot of people fail to make, is applying it, making it now a reality in their work life and in their personal life, as opposed to just something they know, but I know I need to do it, but I've got this going on. I know I need to do it, but I can't because of this. You're saying that you learned that information and then you made it happen. What do you think is the difference between what you did, and actually making it happen? Is it something mentally? Is it, well, like, what is the block? If you know you need to do something and then you don't do it, and you know that the outcome is not going to be good, in your opinion, why does that sort of craziness occur?
Well, it is craziness, isn't it? Look, I think there's two main things that cause it. Number one is it's mindset. So it's all in your head, like it's all about what goes on in your head. And if you're not, and so usually what happens in your mind is, you know what you need to do, however, you're not in congruence. So you're not in alignment, you're not going, yeah, this is the way I'm going, you're scattered. Most people are scattered, and so they're like, oh yeah, I kind of want to fix my business, but I'm really tired, and and it's probably a bit too much work to be, because sometimes to put these things into practice, it takes more work to begin with to get you where you need to go. And certainly for me, I'm fairly naturally lazy. That's why I like to have the freedom to do what I want to do. And so to actually take the steps to get you to freedom, it's kind of like, oh, but then I'll have to do stuff.
Right.
And so I think it's all in your head, and it's about having that congruence and going, no, I really want this, I'm really committed, and I'm prepared to do what it takes to get me over the line.
So it's interesting. It goes back to even like the scientists that did these marshmallow studies where the kids delayed the gratification. The kids that didn't go for the marshmallow right away, the one marshmallow, they got 3 later on. It's kind of that same principle where, all right, you naturally don't want to do the work, but you know that if you do the work now and you make that sacrifice now, you're going to get a bigger payoff down the road in the form of being able to have more freedom, have more free time. Whereas in the beginning, you're going to have to sacrifice some of that time to get to the point where you have that free time. And you've got to really be clear on what it is that you're doing and what you're committed to doing to get there. Otherwise, like you said, your efforts are going to be scattered and you're not really going to get anywhere, even if you might be working harder.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also, in terms of like the mindset and the beliefs, I think often people, because that was one of my blocks. I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to, because I was very much, I just like to relax, I just like to chill out. I'm like, I don't want to become one of those people that works 18 hours a day. And fortunately, I haven't. What's happened for me is I've fallen in love with my work, and so my work isn't really work anyway, which is number one, great. But number two, I'm still very careful to not, like I know people that work 20 hours a day, and I'm like, what kind of a life is that for you or for your family? Because the original reason that I ever wanted to be in business was because I wanted to spend more time with my kids, and so I work from home. I've got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I get to see a lot of them, which is just awesome. And if I'm working 20 hours a day, well, I couldn't do that.
And it's an excellent point. You have to set limits on how much time you're going to work in a single day or during the week. And what I've found through a lot of research and even having productivity experts on the show is that you get creative once you set those limits on how to get the same amount of work, if not more work done within that time frame than if you kind of let it go all over. Because if you let your work dominate your life, it will. But what you're saying is you can set limits and say, this is the kind of work style that I want to have, and now I'm going to find a way to creatively engineer my business and my life to make it happen. Whereas if you don't have those limits or standards, you won't ever start thinking in that way.
Yeah, and it's kind of that ironic thing where people want freedom, and so they don't want anything boxing them in, but it's often the things that box us in that actually cause us to think really creatively and go, right, out of the box, I've only got, I'm only going to work 4 hours a day. How do I get everything done that I need to get done? Do I outsource this to a virtual assistant? Do I, do I record it as an audio and then someone else turns it into a PDF and this report into that report, So how do I do that and make it happen? And you're right, it's the constraints that actually force you to be creative to get the result with less work.
Absolutely. It's such a simple concept, but unless you put those constraints on and make it real, like I have to check out at X time today, how am I going to get everything done? You will find a way to get it done. And surprisingly, we have this nagging feeling like the email needs us and the phone call and the emergencies and stuff. But having a system also means having a way to deal with things so that in the rare case of an emergency, somebody maybe has a back door to get a hold of you, but you don't need to hang around your email and your phone all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think people the other thing that's interesting about business is that oftentimes if you're less available, it can actually make you more valuable to people. So you can actually charge more because people are like, oh, he's sort of a bit restricted. I can't get as much access to him. So I mean, it's a psychological thing where people go, wow, he's more valuable because he's hard to get hold of, or I have to book in an appointment and that sort of stuff. So it's good from a marketing and sales point of view as well. Great
point. And then also, even within your organization, if you're accessible to everybody, everybody's going to run over your time. But if they know that you're very organized and that you have a certain time constraints, they're going to be very clear before they come to you. And I think this is all part of systematizing. But what I want to talk about is what it means to have leverage and what some tips are that you can offer folks. Even based on what we've talked about so far, what are some concrete things that they can take away from this interview to start creating more leverage in their business or in their personal lives that you've seen are kind of the universal darts that are going to hit a bullseye every time? What are they, and how would you suggest they, even if they're simple, how can they implement those when they leave this interview today?
Yeah, cool. Well, I mean, the first place to start is the Pareto Principle, or the 80-20 rule, because that is the best place to kind of diagnose, which is, for those people that aren't familiar with it, it's basically 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts, meaning that most of the outcomes that you get in your life come from a small bit of your inputs. And so what you want to start to look at is where am I, what's causing my result and what's not causing my result, what can I delete? So for instance, we did this in our business where we looked at all our customers and we went, right, where's most of our money coming from? Right, let's focus on those customers. And so we got a massive increase. I can't remember the percentage, I have worked it out, but we got a big percentage increase in income, but we worked less because not only were those customers more profitable, they took less time. And so you use the Pareto Principle first to go, right, where can I get my time back first? Because the more time because you really need time first. Yes. Most people, like we said at the start of the call, are in overwhelm, are just all over the place, and they don't have any way of spending time on fixing it. So you've got to go, right, where can I get time immediately? What can I delete? What can I reproduce? How do I get some time?
Yes. And that's such a great point. It's not about what do I need to do next. It's what do you need to stop doing so you have a space to do what you need to do next. Otherwise, that's going to be your excuse. I can't do it because I don't have enough time. Get rid of that excuse by at first looking at things through kind of Pareto's principle lens, which is where am I getting the greatest return on my invested time, my invested capital, my invested emotional effort, and what are the things that aren't producing that great of a return so I can cut those things out and now have a space to start doing the things that I know are going to create greater returns. So great first point. What do you do after that? Now you've started to create this space and you have some free time. Are there some other suggestions that you have that they can dive into next?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, one of the next ones I'd look at is, we talked about it already, outsourcing. So just looking at what can you outsource? What do you not need to do? I mean, that made a huge difference in our business and in our clients' businesses when they've started doing it. And the ones that have built, multi-million businesses from scratch that's what they've done. They've gone, what can I outsource? Who can I give this to? Because I don't have to do it. Now, the things that you've got to be clear on before you do that is, number one, don't outsource things that don't make sense. You know, like if you're really good at sales, don't outsource it to someone that's not, obviously. Also, make sure that it's clearly defined, because that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see is people are like, I'll outsource. In fact, I was speaking to a client yesterday who had outsourced something, and we were kind of, I mean, it turned out all right in the end, but it became a little bit of a mess along the way, because they'd kind of gone, I can just absolve responsibility. I will outsource it and it will all happen magically. But they hadn't clearly defined what the outcome was, what it looked like. And so the outsourcers just kind of went off and did all this stuff, and then they came back to go, what is this? This isn't what we wanted.
So, Andrew, you mean there's no outsourcing genie? You can't just rub the magic lamp and all your problems go away?
Yeah, I think, look, they'd come to that realization. They're like, we're just slack, and that's what happened. And fortunately, as I said, they got a reasonable result out of it. But no, there is no magic lamp. And so if you're going to either systemize or outsource, you've got to have it clearly defined. It's got to be like, this is how it happens.
Yeah.
These are the steps. This is why we do it this way. And that way it can be handed off. And anything that is, obvious candidates, anything that's repetitive, anything that's clearly defined, and anything that doesn't need you personally involved in it, where there's none of your creativity or none of your personal input needed, then outsource or system, put it into a system.
And I think, repetition really is the key there. Anything that's repetitive is going to be the most time consuming, because you do it today and you're going to do it next week and you're going to do it next month. And because it's repetitive and you're taking same or similar actions, those are the easiest things to create systems for and free up time.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think, the first step is to work out, if you don't have a system, like if you're doing it all manually, then the first thing to do is kind of systemize it and then hand it off if it can be handed off.
And another great benefit that I see that comes from this process is that when you're actually trying to communicate it to somebody that you want them to do what you're doing, sometimes in your own head you're not clear on exactly what you're doing. But then when you're sitting down to write out the email, this is what I need you to do, step 1, step 2, step 3, I'll send out these emails, and at the end I'll be like, that's what I was trying to do very clearly. Now I understand, but I was doing it as I was formulating it for somebody else to do.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very clarifying, it's almost like a therapeutic journaling process, but you're actually delegating it to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And the other great thing about it is you can be very clear about defining what it causes and why it causes it, because I mean often in business we grow organically and things just kind of sprout up, and that's good when that happens, but sometimes you want to take a step back and go, we're kind of doing this thing here, why are we doing this, what's the benefit to us, what's the benefit to our client, do we need to do this, or can we make it better?
Yeah, that's a great point. You're actually drawing focus and awareness to a certain activity and going, should I even have them do this? What kind of return are we getting from this? Why was I doing this? There's not a real return here. Let's throw it in the delete pile.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
So real quick, what are maybe even just one final kind of golden point or tip that you might offer the folks that are watching right now that have got some already dynamite ideas that they can start implementing? That is, getting clear about what are the time wasters, what are the resource wasters, creating systems for the repetitive, recurring things that don't require them to be there, and really crystallizing those things for the people that they might be delegating or outsourcing to. Are there some final ideas or maybe one main tip that you think is going to help them take it to the next level? Because I do think you're just full of ideas that we could go on for hours about. But what is maybe that one key idea that could leave them feeling like, now I know what I need to do, or what is going to take it to the next level for their life or their business?
Yeah, I think there is a big one, and we could. I mean, I was watching your other interviews, and I'm like, man, we could talk all day easily, and it would be lots of fun.
Yeah.
I'll do two. I'll do one real quickly, and then I'll do a really big one.
Okay.
So the first one really quickly is do manage your time. However you do that, whether you use like the getting things done system or something like that, 0 emails in your inbox, and have a very clear task list of what you're doing on a day, because it's just magic. You come in, doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And so you are on task and focused and not scattered. Because otherwise you get to the end of the day and you're like, what did I do today? What did I actually achieve? What happened?
Or you easily fall into reaction mode. As soon as you open that inbox and you don't have like a task list or something near you, you just, boom, you're just responding to fires and you're looking for them, checking your inbox regularly because you have no agenda.
Yeah, exactly. And the last one, which is the big one, is you want to have in your business some leveraged offers. And what I mean by leveraged offers is something that you sell that is leveraged. And so, particularly if you're a service business where, you're spending time to provide service for your customers, you want to have something else that you sell that gives you leverage. And whether that's something that you create yourself, like a product, like a CD or DVDs or information product, or I know a guy that lays tiles and he sells, covering for the tiles. And so he's got someone that drop ships it for him so he doesn't have to do it. I'm getting absolutely blinded here. Or you get a JV partner to do it for you. So you go, oh right, I'm a water blaster, I water blast buildings, and I'll get a painter who I will promote to my clients. When I go and water blast and I see this building is shot, I'll go and say to the owner, hey, I've got a great painter, he'll come in and do a job, and obviously the painter gives you a referral fee. Now, you don't have to do any work for that. It's like a 5-minute conversation that you have with your client. You look really good because you're helping them out, and you get a whole big chunk of money without doing a lot of work. So and that's one of the biggest holes that I see is you've got to have leveraged offers.
And to define what you're saying when you say a leveraged offer, you mean something that you can sell that isn't going to require you to be there to make money from it. So you're not necessarily, you're not, for every minute of your time, you're not just making money from your time and then it's done. You're saying something that you can sell, something that you maybe create once, like a book or a product or something, or even referring it to somebody else who's going to use their time, not yours, but that you can make money from it. Create a leveraged offer and make that an extension of your business, and it's a great way to boost your income without spending more time, which is really, I think, the key idea here, to increase your income without increasing the amount of time that you do it, or even reducing the amount of time that you do it to equal the current income. Creating a leveraged offer and thinking hard about what that leveraged offer can be, because I think you've given some great ideas, and there's lots of them out there. I mean, I think as entrepreneurs, you can agree, there are so many good ideas out there in the world. Anybody that's lacking a good idea could just talk to an entrepreneur who's got 10 of them running, and you'll realize that most of them are just lacking execution. So there's no lack of good ideas, there's just lack of execution. Come up with a really good idea and find a way to create a leveraged offer off of that idea. I think it's a great point. Andrew, where can people, I know actually we've got a really great offer for folks that have watched the show today, and for the first, actually not even 5, there's no limit on this. Where can they pick up the free report? And now we're giving them an option here: free up your time audio, or get more customers and advertising secrets. Where can they go to get these things? I know it's going to be on your website, and there's going to be a special link on there. Where can they go and take advantage of this offer?
Yeah, so they can go to our website, which is amazingbusiness.com, amazingbusiness.com, and on the right-hand side, we'll just have a James Rick logo or something like that saying, get your free gifts, and that'll take you to a page where you can pick what you want and download it. Awesome.
Andrew, that's a very generous offer. I think we've done a lot to help people free up their time and create more leverage in their business. So you've delivered on that promise, and very much appreciate you having on the show today. And I do welcome you back. I know there was more that we could cover that we weren't able to cover in this time frame. So I appreciate you being on the show and sharing your valuable ideas with us today.
Yeah, no, I'd love to come back, and I'd love to take it in a different direction next time, because I think there's some cool stuff that we could do. So yeah, definitely can.
Fantastic. Thank you again, Andrew, and we'll have you back soon. Well, that concludes this week's episode of The Full Potential Show, your #1 non-boring source for personal development. I'm James Rick, and if you want to get more positive programming for your brain absolutely free on a weekly basis, just visit fullpotential.com.
If you like The Full Potential Show, you're going to love the Full Potential Club. What would you like most as a Full Potential Club member? Be 2 to 3 times more productive? Do what you're passionate about? Have more energy? Reduce your work hours? Travel the world? Enjoy an amazing lifestyle on a frugal budget? What if you could do them all? James Rick has been there and done it in ways that few people have. For anyone serious about taking their life or business to the next level, you know you've got to do more than just watch. You've got to do. Join James Rick and other like-minded people for an incredible $10 a month at fullpotential.com/club. Be educated. Be empowered. Be the best version of you. fullpotential.com/club. Try it free for 30 days.